All right, let's get right into it. Today we're going to talk about a digital library. But this isn't just any library. It's massive, it's super controversial, and believe it or not, it's become incredibly influential. It's really making us rethink what access to information even means. So just imagine for a second, what if you could get your hands on every single book ever written and it didn't cost you a dime? I mean, for some of you, that sounds like a dream come true, right? For others, maybe a total nightmare. Well, there's a shadowy group out there trying to make that exact idea a reality. Okay, so let's dive right in. The project we're talking about is called Anna's Archive. And yeah, it's pretty much what it sounds like, an attempt to build a library of, well, everything. So Anna's Archive popped up in late 2022, and the timing is really key here, because it happened right after law enforcement in the US took down the domains for another massive shadow library, Z Library. But here's the thing, Anna's Archive is different. It doesn't actually host the files itself. Think of it more like a master search engine or an old school card catalog for all these hidden digital libraries scattered across the internet. And the sheer scale of this thing, it's just mind-boggling. We're talking tens of millions of books, almost 100 million academic papers. To put that into perspective, by early 2024, they were seeing something like 650,000 downloads a day. That's like 10 times what the entire New York Public Library system distributes. And their ultimate goal? It's simple and kind of crazy, to catalog every single book that has ever existed. So how in the world does a project like this even work? Well, the whole system is built around one single idea: resilience. They've designed it to be really, really hard to take down. You see, most libraries, even the illegal ones, host their files on central servers. That makes them a target. You seize the server, you shut down the library. But Anna's Archive doesn't do that. It just points you to where the files are. And that little distinction is everything, because its real secret weapon is decentralization. And how do they achieve that? Torrents. Yep, that's the core of their whole strategy to stay alive. They package up these massive chunks of the library into torrent files. That means the data isn't sitting in one place anymore. It's spread out all over the world on the computers of thousands of users. How do you shut that down? It's practically impossible. But here's where it gets really clever. Let's say you download one of these torrents. You're not going to see a nice, neat folder with book titles. Nope. You're going to see thousands of files named with what looks like complete gibberish, just long, random strings of text. So how do you find anything? Well, you have to download a second file, a database from the archive, that acts like a secret decoder ring. It's the key that matches all those random names to the actual book titles. So what are those random names? They're called MD5 hashes. The easiest way to think about a hash is like a unique digital fingerprint for a file. Every file has its own. And it's a one-way street. You can create the fingerprint from the file, but you can't recreate the file just from the fingerprint. It's a brilliant system, really. It lets them manage and check millions of files without ever having the book titles just sitting there out in the open. So all of this complex technical stuff, it really leads to one big question. Why? I mean, why go to all this trouble? The answer isn't just technical, it's ideological. It's rooted in a really powerful and, yeah, pretty controversial philosophy. When you look at their stated goals, it really breaks down into two main things. First, preservation. They want to create a permanent backup of all human knowledge and culture, something that can't be lost, censored, or controlled. And second, access. They believe that knowledge should be available to every single person on the planet, no matter who you are, where you live, or how much money you have. And a lot of this thinking is inspired by people like the information activist Aaron Swartz, who was a huge champion for open access. It really all boils down to this one famous phrase that's kind of a motto for the whole community. Information wants to be free. That single sentence pretty much captures the entire spirit behind the shadow library movement. And right there, that is where you get this huge, unavoidable conflict. Because, information might want to be free, but copyright law? Well, let's just say it has a very different point of view. And this is really the heart of the whole debate. On one side, you have the argument for copyright. It's the system we've built to make sure that authors, artists, and publishers can actually get paid for their work. It's what fuels the creative economy. But on the other side, you have the argument that paywalls and all these restrictions create what they call a knowledge gap. They say it locks away crucial research and culture from the very people who need it most: students, scientists, and just the general public. So, as you can probably guess, this has led to a huge legal fight. Anna's archive is getting hit from all sides. They're facing lawsuits. There's a big one from a company called OCLC for scraping their giant library database. And on top of that, countries across Europe are starting to block it at the internet provider level. It really feels like the legal walls are closing in. But just as it seems like the story is heading in one direction, it takes this wild, unexpected turn. Because this whole saga, which started with digital books and preservation, has suddenly collided with one of the most powerful, game-changing technologies on Earth. 81 terabytes. Just think about that number for a second. It is an absolutely colossal amount of data. So what is it? Well, that is the amount of data that Meta, Facebook's parent company, downloaded from Anna's archive. And we know this because it came out in unsealed court documents from a lawsuit where a bunch of authors are accusing Meta of using their copyrighted books to train its AI models, all without permission. And folks, this changes everything. Suddenly, Anna's archive isn't just a tool for students or researchers anymore. It's become this critical underground data source for some of the biggest tech companies in the world building their AI. The archive is even marketing high-speed access specifically to AI developers. So this once quiet digital library has become a major battleground in the global AI arms race. And it's at the center of these massive lawsuits that could literally define the future of AI. And that brings us right back to the biggest question of all. In an age where all of human knowledge can be downloaded, shared, and even used to train world-changing AI, who gets to control it? Who should be in charge of access? Should it be the creators, the big tech corporations, or the rogue archivists? There's no easy answer here, and what happens next is